that would be like do it in the recommendation and make it really clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, you want to see these changes versus you've got comments and feedback about what you like and don't like, but if you want to see actual changes, then put it in the motion so it's really clear.
I think the motion is good.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm
Let's move to adopt the
Accept.
motion.
Second.
Beautiful.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Now go over to Greg. Oh, you can.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Back to our agenda.
The whole lane.
Oh, the double lane
I can,
sign.
Oh, I can just do it, yeah, overview. So this is something that DC Ferries has been looking at, is trying to find a way to do double lane loading to try to cut down on their loading time. So they did a trial a while ago now, I think, for some of the morning runs. And it came back to Emma, who's the other planner, and it's one of the transportation staff, for this idea that, okay, they're looking at putting some sort of signal in place. That got taken to our Transportation Advisory Committee. He's would comment on sort of the transportation aspects of it, but at the same time, that committee asked that it be referred to the design panel and the Stone Cove Improvements Working Group for comments on sort of the aesthetic element of this change, and if the design panel had any input on it. So what we have from DC Ferries, all we've gotten to date, is sort of this really simple thing showing the two lights and stuff, which I think isn't necessarily, you know, they're just saying like, this is how two lights would appear over the ferry, and you can see in the email they talk about, well, we could do it at the ramp, or we could do it further up the road.
Yeah, I thought you'd be putting it like somewhere here, you know, where
Yeah.
the lane
Yeah.
changes.
The position of it does seem a bit odd.
Yeah.
so
It's
is
true.
that on BC
And
Ferries land?
no one knows see it from the lane
Yeah,
over there.
That's right.
I know, I was trying to figure out if they're trying to do it so they're not using,
The whole road where it's much wider.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know where they want people to split, it wasn't clear to me how they
Yeah.
want that.
You still need access to the docks
Yeah.
on the north side.
No,
Oh, I see.
with ferries loading and offloading, have you never done that?
Oh, I see cars drive down there all the
Well, I
time.
tried driving down there one day with just as the I thought I could make it.
The infamous I can make it.
Screaming backwards. Lanes of traffic are coming out, you only do it once. It's like the most embarrassing thing you can possibly do on this.
This morning, we were loading and a car goes right by me into the
Yeah.
parking on the dock.
But I
Yeah.
think like right now when they're loading, this curb lane is clear for people to exit the marina.
Yeah.
I
Right,
think,
and
right,
it
they won't
won't
fill
be.
that. Yeah, and so I don't know, that's what they're trying to avoid, is not to have the second lane split until after you've passed it.
They should
That's
have a light
the
over there,
issue.
so
you go around the
those two
bend.
turn
Yeah.
green, that one turns red, and then
Yeah.
you can really get all lanes
Yeah,
coming down.
yeah.
But there is no good solution. It has been played with for decades.
Right.
We have been through this so many times. I mean, this is the Groundhog Day thing ad nauseum. However, this is something new, different, interesting. Give her a shot, boys. Let's see if it works. You know, I mean, double lane offloading was a huge issue at the time, right? And we tried double lane loading, and it was an absolute horror show, and people were fighting in the streets.
Oh, it was pretty funny.
To my,
To meet the
Love
wildest people going absolutely nuts.
Followers.
But I mean, I think this is cool. Let them try it. Let's see what their design people can come up with, and just see if it works.
I find it, I mean, the idea is fine theoretically, but, and where they put it there, it's gonna be the cheapest way to do it. And yet, the position is just completely not, it's not in a functional, they need to have that happen where people can see it, not around the corner.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
Right,
Or-
oh, no,
or
but
make
they
it so
will,
large
they
that
will
it's
end up changing.
really scary.
Right?
You think they'll put it over here?
I think that what'll happen is that they'll have to have sort of 2 or 3, and they'll have one that will be an amber light blinking like that, and then the next one on it will be a green light blinking on that, and then there'll be a green light, and then you will have split into the 2 lanes. Sort of like Stanley Park Causeway type of thing, where you have to
So
give
you're,
that warning.
you're calling this the thin edge of the wedge.
Well, I see.
That's what I'm
So
Once
it's gonna be
it-
2
once
little
it is-
lights, yeah.
I mean, this looks like, or somebody actually has to walk off the ferry and up the road a ways with flashlight in hand and direct traffic. But it will work during commuter traffic like a hot damn. On Sunday afternoons, it'll be total chaos.
Yeah.
That's just the
it would be
nature.
pretty simple if they just strung it with a couple of, the ones
Yeah.
that are like
Yeah.
just hanging from a wire kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Because if it's an
And then they're not in
experiment-
the way of anything, they're above
Yeah.
and they don't have any stanch, well, they
Yeah.
might on the sides,
Yeah.
but way out, and that would be pretty simple.
Like
Yeah,
this-
I would say to make it work, you definitely have to have it
Yeah.
Lead up.
well before
Well
the bend.
before.
Yeah.
So that people, okay.
So-
It's okay for off-season, but high-season, you're gonna get people that have
Totally
never been
confused.
here before. It's gonna get.
But we really only need it in the, on
High
the
season.
weekday mornings.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
it's really, there's 3 ferries that
That's
we need the thing for, on the weekday mornings. And if it doesn't work out that they're able to double unload on Sunday afternoons, same with me.
Yeah, exactly.
It's chaos anyway.
So many delays anyways in
Yeah.
the summer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this looks to me like the aluminum tubing is 2.5 to 3 inches, which in a wind, it's gonna vibrate. And a kid that's 15 years old that weighs remarkably about 180 pounds is gonna grab that thing and find it and make it with it.
But they'll over-engineer it before it gets there.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, don't worry about them not engineering it hard enough.
Yeah, the BC Ferries, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Really?
gonna be, it'll be like the lift structure behind it.
Yeah, the lights are the least of my concern, it's the lift structure behind that is the
Yeah, that's right.
eyesore.
But I think that if you say there are a couple of givens, one, it's going to happen, B, it's going to be there,
I don't think it's happening.
then it's as diminutive as it can be.
Yeah.
Other than maybe painting the metal black, so it just blends into the black
Yeah.
of the ramps.
No, but I mean, to think, even consider aesthetics in regard to our ferry terminal, it's like, forget it.
Unprecedented.
Remember when they clad the whole metal sheathing with, the movie company clad it with
Well,
shingles?
there was a petition to keep it.
Yeah, I know, exactly, because
Yeah,
they were,
really
oh,
quite
the sign's
nice.
kinda neat.
Yeah.
It looked fabulous.
Little windows.
Oh, yeah,
It should have windows
it was like, this is what a ferry terminal should look like, boys. If you were doing a movie, this is what it would look like.
So our role in any of this is, I suppose, just in a broad sense, to recommend on aesthetics, that whatever they do not be particularly intrusive, is that sort of the gist of it? And that it's effective but not intrusive.
Yeah,
This is form following function here, I think, guys.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes at the end of the day, if it
It
can actually be
is.
made to work.
It is, and my sort of positive response to it being on the agenda was related to the bigger picture. But I don't think, like this we don't talk about. This is a thing they're going to experiment with, let's just move on with it and see it happen.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and just, you saw it here first.
That's
Until
right.
they screw it up.
So there will be
Look at
very,
the
the next 4 of these, there will be a meeting for each one.
It's really Transportation Advisory Committee that was asking for input, right?
Oh.
Yeah.
Not BC.
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So,
Oh, well, the reason it's come is that Emma's, BC Ferries has said to Emma, we'll take whatever feedback you have. And so
Yeah.
she said, well,
Yeah.
hey, if they want to go to ADP,
Sure.
let's get lots of feedback.
Right.
Yeah. Super.
So do you have some feedback to give them?
Yeah.
Steph can always make up
Oh, so
something.
you
if
wanna
he
make-
wants
you wanna
to.
go
You can make up, no, that's
Okay.
good.
How
I don't
about
even
get
know.
on with it?
Yeah, I just made a little bunch of notes. We need a recommendation, do you think?
recommend that,
I mean, I think we can add it, like if the ADP has a recommendation to make, then sure,
Okay.
and we'll just incorporate,
So I said, I excitedly and wholeheartedly support the installation of double lane loading with the following comments, and then I just sort of mentioned the possibilities that you had suggested, like maybe a black, possibly stringing lights above the crossing streets, be effective but not intrusive. Those are the three sort of aesthetic things that I noted.
sounds
Are
great.
those
good.
three enough?
Yeah.
Well, I don't, but if you do any sort of critical analysis, of course, you can't really just run from a wire across, given our wind conditions and that sort of. Well, maybe you
Well,
can.
look,
Yeah.
they put the
Yeah.
banners
All over the
up
place.
for everything across, you know?
It
and-
just, it's
They
just gonna
work.
go like this a little bit.
Sure.
Just animates it, right?
Yeah.
It's kinda
Yeah.
fun.
Give us something to hang our Christmas lights on.
I'm just thinking, whatever they do, it'll probably be hideous, so
Yeah.
you might as well get your 2 cents worth them what you can.
Actually, in that regard, closer to the ramp is better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah,
Fit.
that's good, because then, yeah, you're supportive and you'd like to see it unobtrusive if possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's recommend for moving forward. Do we have a seconder? Super, Karen. All in favor?
Now today.
Yeah, man. Jeepers, go.
So have you got pictures for the big screen of the big bike shed?
I didn't bring it.
Not, but I can transfer them
Did you-
over. just
Did
if
you have the
want.
newest ones in there, Marie?
It doesn't matter.
Did you have the newest?
We can see them.
Yeah, I noticed there was one added at the end.
Oh, I did, that's right, showed some trust.
Oh, no, it's not even included. It must have, where did it show? It
The bike farm.
must have been on the screen.
There was the, nope.
Is that the one that has the knee braces? And this, I think this is the
Oh,
previous.
no. Okay, no, you sent it to me. That's,
Right.
I pulled
It
it up
hasn't-
on my
yeah,
screen,
right.
sorry.
Do you want to send it to me and I can put it up on the screen?
Oh,
Yeah.
it's not a big deal. I mean, it's just, he's just showing some details, or just showing the joist structure.
Instructions.
So it's not really,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I'm trying to
And-
place
and
this
knee
in
braces.
context here, I'm not.
Yeah,
It's,
give us some background.
right,
Yeah.
Okay, here's some
Adding on to
background
that
for
thing.
you.
Go quiet.
Yeah.
If you go to the BC Ferries picture, you will notice the little kiosk
Yeah.
sitting there. So, since that is already obstructing the line of view along the dock, we are proposing to put another building immediately behind it, matching it, that will run down along the length of the ramp. So you will not see this basically from the ferry, except when you're walking up the ramp and looking directly over. You know, you have that 60 feet of no man's land. Do you know?
You mean, is it parallel to this thing, did you say?
No, behind this, behind the little kiosk.
Oh, the one that's here?
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
out
sorry.
on the more
It's out on the
directly
dock.
beside this
Yeah.
little one.
So there's the one beside the ferry ramp.
So are we,
Envision a ramp behind it,
Yeah,
and a big blue tower at that end,
yeah,
yeah.
right?
This is almost, this would be looking from Norman's, we're looking out. right?
Yeah.
And so BC
Yeah.
Ferries is behind,
That's right.
this is.
Yeah.
That-
significant
And,
contribution.
and this is a representation of the kiosk in front, it's just slightly not in proportion to it.
That's what was confusing, because it's square.
Yeah, that's right. French, the front one, which we're not touching. But the idea being to simply mimic the lines of it completely, except that for costing reasons, we're going down to a 6x6 posts, infill the back wall, record the batten, cedar look on the back side, the same as the existing structure. And people will be able to park their bikes and scooters when they get on the boat. So the whole thing is 50 feet long and 10 feet wide.
And why the wall?
Why the wall on the back?
Yeah.
Just for wind,
Oh,
just so you don't have the rain blowing through on your.
It's also for
bike and
shear,
scooter.
gives a lot of shear.
so do
Yeah.
they need to move from where they are now, or is that the reason,
Well,
or?
it's full and it's messy and they aren't protected.
Well, that's kind of what's worrying me, it's messy. It disturbs me that we have the little kiosk there because it actually is a barrier to like
Oh, I know.
greeting your friends as they come off the ferry. And so making more of the same seems to me
That's it.
unfortunate. And all those bikes and things are not actually carefully, nicely arranged like that. I mean, they don't look very beautiful. It's just gonna be a whole bunch more clutter on the wharf. Like, I'd like to see you
You
do
won't
it where
see
it
it,
is
though.
now.
You
You
won't
see
see
it
it.
all the, I walk out there all the time
Oh,
when I'm
if you
meeting
walk
my
out on the
guests.
board.
Yeah, that's where I
will.
greet people, yeah. And
You
nobody
walk past
uses
the
it.
kiosk?
Yeah,
Oh,
and
okay.
hang over the side there and wave at them as they come in.
Well, we'll get you to monitor the bike.
No, I'm just like, why move it
The
from
bike
somewhere
police.
that's kind of hidden to putting it right in the entrance of,
Well, it's just that it is a, other than you, it's a very hidden spot. Because with the kiosk in front of it, you know, as you drive down to the ferry, you don't see it.
but if you're
It's behind.
walking,
If
it's
you're
not hidden
walking
at
down.
all. I mean, everybody goes out on the big wharf.
Well, if you walk out on the wharf, you will see it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It is largely a concession to our people who ride scooters and bikes, who have them sitting out in the rain all the
But
time.
this can't be done where the scooters and bikes are right
Well,
now.
that is.
Is that the problem?
BC Ferries.
Yeah, it's
isn't it?
BC Ferries property. It would be a much bigger deal. And
I
the beauty
see.
of the wharf is that we have the floor. The floor is in the structure, you know, the foundations, the floor, everything is already there.
Yeah,
And, I mean, our total budget for this is like $10,000, right? This is not meant to be a.
maybe you should try it in the little pavilion that's there and see if anyone uses it.
Oh,
I
the
mean,
one- the
it's-
little
it's
thing, you
empty.
you can't put it in front, I mean, you get shot. Somebody starts piling their bikes in where they're supposed to be looking at the tourist
There's
information.
nothing in there.
Does this throw a spanner into the dock dance?
Yeah,
No, the beauty of this is at night you could actually use it as a, or on weekends or something like that. You could actually use it for a farmer's market or for beer garden or for whatever. You do now have a covered space that people can stand under in the rain if they want to use that wharf for something more constructive. And the thing with bikes and scooters is from an operations perspective, we'll probably have to limit it to weekdays, that type of thing, so you don't end up with a bunch of abandoned bikes that have been there for a year and a half and you can't do anything about it. So we will actually probably, if the need arises, limit the length of time that they can be there, so that it actually gives it an
we're
overnight
gonna
thing.
monitor that.
Well, we invite a lot of people, you know, we'll see.
Yeah.
Again,
Bikes are
you know,
easier to tow.
I think it's unfortunate location. I agree with giving the bike people some kind of shelter. I think the choice of location is really unfortunate.
I think there was just no place. I mean, it was really the fact that location, I mean, to my way of thinking, it's the least aesthetic spot we have. I mean, when you walk there and all you're looking at is the ramp.
In
Like,
a
literally.
perfect world, BC Ferries would rebuild their.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
bubble,
ugly thing,
their
exactly.
bathrooms, and
Yeah,
add in a covered area for bikes.
We're looking
Exactly.
at 2021, 2022, somewhere in there, their next financial plan thing, their next iteration.
5-6 years, yeah.
If I can,
We're supposed to, well, it was supposed to be
That's
done.
nothing for BC
It
Ferries.
was supposed to be done in 1992, right?
Yeah.
We
They
were-
had $200-some-odd-thousand put aside at that
Yeah,
time.
it was
for
promised
that.
for 1992. And let's just say that BC Ferries over the years has found Bowen people not the easiest to get along with all the time. So
There's a reason.
when you have people from Bowen Island going like this with their signs, marching out on the dock in Horseshoe Bay, hoping to get CBC to take pictures of them, that just pushes the terminal back about a decade. Every time you do it, another decade. We're trying very hard to get along with BC Ferries right now, and keep reminding them that in their next financial plan, we're supposed to be included.
Does that include a heated waiting area like every other golf
Oh, like a
island?
real, yeah, like a real.
That
They have
less
heated
commuting
waiting areas?
populations?
Yeah.
I haven't been to one of the other Gulf Islands in a long time.
Oh, they're really quite nice.
They are.
Yeah, everywhere else.
Some of them are quite old, but they do have heat.
And
If
they
I
don't,
can show my lack of community spirit, does the dock dance happen in the big rectangle?
Mhm.
It
Yeah.
doesn't go down this far,
It
right?
doesn't actually.
Yeah.
well, it does.
Well, it does,
put-
because they put the
They put all
food tents and the
the
booze
the
there.
loos,
Yeah.
they all put all the
Yeah.
loos on the side.
Yeah,
The gambling used to be there when they
Ah,
had it.
right.
The wheels,
Yeah,
all
right.
that
I
stuff.
remember working.
Well, they could have the food, beer concession in, under
yeah.
that thing then.
I promise I'll go next
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah.
yeah.
So-
I like
and,
the openness of that dock. I think it's unfortunate to start intruding on it. And I
But it's
don't like
something-
the little one that's there already. I think it's
No.
useless. Nobody ever goes in there.
Tourists.
Could I, just one more question. Could it be, like, could it look impermanent, is my question? And I know I'm throwing a big spanner into your plans here.
How do you make it impermanent?
Like a bit more
A rental tent.
ephemeral. So, like, it's, right now it's heavy timber and it's got a, what's the roof, shingle?
Metal
Metal.
side.
Metal, yeah.
Metal.
Like, almost as if it wasn't supposed to be there is what I'm saying. But, you know, properly done, good quality, but
Do that.
this was not supposed to be here, you know what I mean?
What were you thinking?
Maybe something that has a, you know, a
Tent.
waveform to it or something else that it just doesn't really belong there. But it's
A folly.
joyful, yeah, a folly.
Mhm.
It's joyful, and people say, I love that thing. It wasn't supposed to be there, but I love it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
To your comment about it's not supposed to be there.
I
You're
mean,
not
and I
really seeing
understand
it.
we're
Yeah.
gonna need a back wall on it, but then you're
A
just, I
wall.
mean, you're blocking that whole area that's supposed to, you're greeting
So-
all the visitors coming
You
to
know-
the island. Instead, you've got a wall.
I mean, I went
And
and
I know
stood there
that-
for quite some time.
I don't know, Murray,
Trying to
if you
assess this.
check in this,
I did.
okay.
No, no, no.
So no offense,
Yeah,
because
Tori,
yeah, so no offense, because it's really well done, the design and presented really nicely.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
just
he
wondering.
drew it.
Okay,
I had the idea, he drew it.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
So,
sorry,
like,
the disclosure end of it.
post and beam, light frame, but it can be unconventional in a way that says, this wasn't always here, maybe it's not always gonna be, you know?
Again, in a perfect world, we'd take down all the various mushrooms that have appeared down there
Yeah,
and go with
One
more
simple
unique mushrooms.
things, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, a number of follies would be.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But,
Yeah, maybe it's, you know, the square one, maybe it's 4 square things, and you say, oh, this just grew
Yeah.
organically here. It's not a big monster, it's
Yeah.
just a little tiny things that just grew organically.
yeah, yeah.
Well, except, yeah, put the,
Kind of like
Oh, slider.
Glenn's Pub, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
it's at a scale and character that's, it's tiny village scale, it's all very friendly.
What are the dimensions?
Hmm?
What are the dimensions?
okay, so it's 50
Just a
feet
thought.
long, it's only
Just a
10
thought.
feet across.
And the existing one is 10 feet across and
And
yeah,
14
and
feet
20,
long.
no, it's a bit longer.
Maybe.
20 feet
I
long?
think it's
That's just
probably-
based on
18
what
maybe.
you surmise to be the requirements for space? Is that what it's based on?
It's based on, it doesn't go past the corner.
Mhm.
Oh.
Right, so that's the thing, is that's
Yeah.
where the blue tower
It's
is
the dot
at the
geometry.
end, right?
Yeah.
So, it's not, when you're standing on the boat looking out, you're not gonna see very much.
Right.
Because you've got the tower in front of, right there.
It currently fits about 15 to 20% more bikes and motorbikes than are currently parking down there.
Oh,
So it's
probably
sort of-
in time.
The same, but with a little bit of growth.
Are you gonna have racks, like
More
racks?
use,
I would think
more,
so,
yeah.
more bikes and more
That's good.
scooters in time, I think.
And you can
I
move
would
that
think
if you're
so.
having a
That's
festival and food and stuff, you could move the bike racks out and then have stalls or whatever, temporarily, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd
The
be really
multi-use
nice.
Yeah.
function is,
Yeah.
yeah, that's appealing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, we'd have to figure out just what the kind of bars we're gonna use for people to paddle off to
Yeah.
give it that sort of portability, but, and that, we haven't established it, but it's
Yeah.
mostly scooters, really.
Yeah.
The number
Mhm.
of bicycles, particularly in the winter, is not great, right?
I had a good look at the bicycles that are there, and some of them have been there a while.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So let's store them on the wharf where they look.
No, no, no.
is there a way to make it
We'll take them away.
whole or separate, but not a big one and a small one bushed together.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah.
It
Oh,
feels
no, whether or
awkward.
not we have a gap between the roofs,
Yeah.
but it's still a little too close, right? Like, because it's like bigger brother and little brother, you know,
Yeah,
they're just.
It's kind of like an exclamation mark, kind of.
Yeah.
Right.
Except I'm not a seagull, I can't see it.
yeah, but whether they, I don't think, I don't know aesthetically whether it's better to try to butt them up and match the roof line perfectly or
Right.
have 3 feet between them, which was my original thought.
Or you could make it one, you could just fix up the roof framing, make it one long.
One long
You
one,
could.
exactly,
You
yeah.
can do that, yeah.
Oh, take the roof all the way, up,
Yeah.
tie into that roof and go all
Yeah.
the way?
Yeah.
It's a little bit more money to do that
Yeah,
because
sure.
you're
Yeah.
doing a few things, but.
And
hence
then we
the
have to match
extrusion
the
is
lines
just cost.
perfectly.
Oh,
Yeah.
that should be easy.
Your carpenters
Yeah.
could do. I hope so.
Murray's building it. Right,
You're the carpenter too. Oh, no.
he's putting the flooring in.
I'm taking care of the flooring.
Yeah, I
I
think
don't
if
know,
you-
I don't know, I kind of think that if that thing becomes 65 feet long, it becomes more of a quayside or something,
Yeah. Big thing.
And to help with her comments, maybe
Yeah.
like, so maybe you could have a wall where you have the bikes lined up to give protection, and in the corridor where you access the lanes for the bikes to put things in, etc. You have openings through that wall, so that
You
people
have-
who
yeah,
go
so it's
down
not a
there can
solid
use it,
wall.
and you still get your and they can look out and over and
Yeah.
interact with the water and the people coming in from the ferry, and at the same time having several panels that are solid gives you your shear.
It's a great idea.
I have an idea that most of the people though who watch for people coming in on the ferry are out on past that.
Yeah,
because-
I know, but
at
it's
that
just
section you're
visual
looking
One
at-
clutter
side,
you're
you're
walking
one
by.
side or the other.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
when you're
You don't
looking
really see
right there,
anybody
you're
from
looking
that
at the
spot.
big,
No.
the
Yeah.
frame of the ferry ramp.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah,
You know
no,
when I've
I
done it,
think-
I'm either on the right or I'm on the other
Yeah.
side.
I'm sort of referring to two things. One is sort of that solid wall, which does cut you off from, so I'm talking from a pedestrian point of view, not driving down and not coming on the ferry, but the people who use that big dock. I think having some openings in that back panel would help, but the other part is it's an eyesore, and it will be with a bazillion trashy bikes there. You know, it's not gonna look beautiful, and I mean, you've got planters and benches and picnic tables. I've been there lots of times when there's nowhere to sit, the place is full. And so I think people are using it, and I don't think it's gonna add to the beauty, I think it's gonna add to the clutter.
Well, we're doing two things here. We're debating its existence and we're debating the aesthetics. If you say it's a done deal, it has to be there, this is what's happening, then we
Yeah.
get into just simply the aesthetics of it.
Mhm.
But do we separate the two and get past one to the other so that we can make some comment about its existence? Or isn't that, it's not even really our mandate because it's not,
Well, it's.
I think it's a really good
Association.
idea to have that. I think it would improve clutter. I really do, honestly. If you give somewhere for people to neatly put the bikes in stands and stuff like this,
Yeah,
and there's space for
Yeah, it'll
scooters,
be
etc., it'll
Yeah.
be much better than that hodgepodge mixed up with all the blackberries and stuff. I've fallen into the.
Just
Yeah, and-
wish it
and-
would stay there.
Neatness bylaws like they have in Switzerland.
Yeah.
You get to take it to the.
Yeah, the other thing to keep in mind is that now that that lawn has gone in, behind the washrooms towards Ronnie's
Yes.
thing,
Yeah.
extending that lawn all the way down now beyond the white shell, it's going to be quite a bit nicer. So right now, it's just a mud path because of all the bikes and scooters that are put in there, right? There's also the practical problems about access and getting in and out. the BIMTAC people really like this better because you can come down with the traffic and go in there, and you can come out and get back in the traffic.
Yeah.
You don't get stuck.
Actually, it's probably safer
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
I see so many people
they-
cutting
they-
across the lane of traffic that are unloading
Yeah,
because they walked off, got onto their bike, etc.,
Trying to
and they
beat the
jump out
cars.
in traffic.
yeah. And so the VIMTAC people like it from a practicality point of view, or safety and transportation and all that.
Mhm.
Well, you're either crossing the oncoming or the
Or the-
outgoing.
yeah.
So on the other side, it's
Either
going to
way.
be the opposite scenario.
Well, no, when you come down to get,
To the new
On-
bike shed.
Yeah.
If you don't make it in time.
what I'm talking about is the off-roading people, well, of course, you can come down the other side.
Yeah.
You always have the other side possibility of coming down with the walking, the walk.
Oh, that's interesting.
Mhm.
Scooters going.
With your
sharing
scooter.
that narrow little.
Yeah, we'll see how it works.
So if you do this, can you toast the bubble?
Toast the bubble.
I
think
don't
it'd be fun to get
I don't
rid
ever see anyone ever standing in that bubble thing. I see everyone go around over to the shed and
I
the other
know.
thing.
know.
I
The
never
bubble
see-
things.
The wind
Sky
tunnel.
tunnel.
Yeah, the wind
The
tunnel.
wind tunnel, yeah.
There's a reason why council people can only sit on like 3 committees, because the same discussion.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Every year, every iteration, every committee, we talk about the bubble. So the short answer
Yeah.
is, there are handicapped people that sit in wheelchairs and, or have mobility issues. We've had the pavement improved and straightened out so they no
Oh.
longer trip and fall and die as they move out of the little bubble. The little bubble came from Expo '86. Some people have very fond memories of it, of driving and how nice it was to have it on the island. And they still appreciate having it there, and it's so nice for the people that
Okay.
can always toddle over and they have a chair to sit in, and
Hang on.
it's the closest place.
This is,
and
we're
so
not
on.
heading down the heritage designation.
No, but I just,
Let's watch out for that one.
that was as quickly as I could give you the whole
Okay,
story.
okay, all right, fair enough.
So we could potentially form some wording around the fact that it either is or is not,
Or I
and
just,
whether or not there's a location, and then separate out some other comment about aesthetics.
okay.
Because I think have we had largely the dialogue, I think that,
This was supposed to be 5 minutes.
yeah,
So the-
it's been more.
Can I try this as sort of a question for you? In that, how many on the committee feel that it would be better if it became a contiguous roof line with the building that is already there? We're not going to do the bigger posts, we would still have that back wall that is already there, but if we simply matched up our joists with the roof line and took it down, would it be better having a 60-some foot building, or would it be better having the 2 buildings? If there were 2 buildings, would it be better to have them spaced apart or have them tight together? So of those 3 choices, how many would go for all a single roof line? Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
And how many would go
I think
for?
it would be
Can I comment?
pardon me?
Is that-
No.
is that legal?
Of course, you're a member of
I
this
think we
committee.
need
But
to
I-
disagree,
I'm
basically
actually-
the functions are different.
Drew was
yeah,
not for me, so I.
that's a good point. Then separate it a little bit more.
And separate spaced even, not a touching.
Yeah, my,
So that they are distinct functions.
that's my personal opinion, is because they're different function and the posts are different. And it's unlikely that the color of the new roof is going to be identical to the old one and so on.
Yeah.
And trying to match it in and run it, I think, logistically it creates problems, cost-wise it produces problems, and I think at the end of the day it would look goofy, that it would be the big posts in this thing and then suddenly
Yeah,
it's a shed.
different module.
Yeah,
If you combine them, you pretty much have to match what's there.
Yeah,
yeah, and
And it's tricky to do.
and that means you take off the roofing that's there
Yeah.
because it's a different
Yeah, you
color,
don't want
put
to
new
do that.
roofing on the whole thing and so on. So then it becomes the second question, then if we chuck that is, do we have the roofs tight to each other, or do we put a gap of 3 feet or something like that to make them distinctly
I'd
different?
say a gap for
A
the
gap.
same reason.
I would go a little further than a 3 feet gap. I'm sorry that
Like
the
6
wall of
feet.
the existing one isn't in there,
One.
but if you took that dimension of the wall of the current structure
Right,
and had 2 of them at the ends, or if it would work, that dimension could work in the new building, and you'd probably have a gap of about 10 feet in the middle.
Mhm,
But then from the other side, it would have a similar look for all 3,
mhm,
but you'd still have a gap between,
mhm,
but it would be larger than 3 feet.
mhm.
That's okay.
okay.
So you
I
make the
don't
new
quite
one,
understand it,
you make the
but
new one
since you
twice
can
as
draw
big.
it.
Yeah, you don't need to-
Let me rephrase that. Matching the current wall that's not shown in the
Okay.
existing structure
So that's,
with identical
that's the wall
2
right here,
Yeah.
right?
the whole back of it
Okay.
is
the
what I'm
back wall.
referring to, yeah.
Oh,
the back.
okay, there's also an end wall.
That's right, there is. But-
Yeah,
but
so I'm just thinking of where these two transition. The end walls will basically match. I mean,
I
if we're
don't,
looking-
yeah, I wouldn't put end walls on it.
no, I'm sorry, the back walls. And you
Right.
have the one end
Facing the
wall.
ferry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you have it, so these, but you'll never see it from this angle, because you have sort of crap happening here.
It's true, yeah.
You know, and it's a very short distance, that it's not a wide area that you're standing at, and you're looking at angles. So I don't think.
But that gap really helps for lighting too,
Mhm.
Oh,
because that's quite a long wall.
this, yeah, I'd like to see the gap here, and I'd like to see you be able to take your stuff in through this way,
Yeah,
and then be able to marry them up better, and I'd like to see the bicycles at that end, where the bicycle people have a shorter walk than scooter people. I don't know why, I just feel sorry for those people.
My opinion is that there should be a space, and it should be probably bigger than 6 feet.
Yeah,
Particularly
like
if the
10 feet.
functionality
More.
of guiding
Right.
a scooter and, you
Yeah.
know, 8 feet, I don't know, something, but, and it also that reinforces the idea of the distinction of function as well.
and not having the walls at the ends gives more storage room. As you can see that the bikes are pushed a little further than where the wall would be
Right.
at both ends.
Yeah, we pick up that extra 2 feet of overhang.
Mhm.
Okay, but gapping in the roof.
Mhm.
I've got some more comments.
Are there any other,
I quite like to, just coming back to the gaps in the panels as well. I think the same.
on the back wall,
Facing the ferry.
Yeah.
facing the ferry?
And I think
Oh,
even
nice.
just for somebody like walking, so I have a 2-year-old who loves ferries, so we go down to the dock a lot to watch the ferries come in and out.
Yeah.
We never actually stop in this middle bit, but just as going past, it's not the wall the whole way.
It's a
You
big
know,
wall.
You can see gaps.
That's